Hey everyone, get ready because there is one stock that the US government is possibly taking a stake in. This is unheard of, and I'll give you that stock right now. It's Intel, INTC. There's two other stocks as well that are possibly gearing up for a big move. Even though Netflix had tough earnings, it's turning up all of a sudden, and there's volume coming in. Same deal with Hood, except Hood just can't stop. It's been on an absolute tear this year. Both of those stocks in consumer finance and consumer recreation, I don't know what you call Netflix, are strong signs for the market being super bullish, even though it's been bullish this whole time for the past 6 months. And of course, the US government taking a stake in Intel is huge for the semi stock. Now, let's look at these in detail, starting with, we'll actually leave Intel for the end just because it's so unprecedented, but this is Hood. This is the volume I'm talking about coming in here. It held this level, this left side peak. And fundamentally, what is Hood? It's Robinhood, right? It's the stock trading app, but it's way more than that at this point. It's in the capital markets industry over here. So it's taking on Schwab, which is this software itself at this point. And it's up there with the banks, which are holding up. Interactive Brokers would be a competitor to Hood that is kind of, up a lot. And the earnings reaction was pretty strong up until today. Goldman Sachs, JPM, little down days today, but otherwise pretty good indicators of a strong market when those are doing well, which they have been. So that's Hood. It actually turned up today. So relative strength to the market is always a good sign, particularly when it aligns with a left side peak. And we can see on the daily why this is, on the intradaily, why this is such a strong day today. This is just coiled action holding into the close, which is pretty awesome given this dump on Wednesday. So this is the most important chart, of course, the daily over this level with some volume, and the volume at price looking like there's clear skies ahead at all-time highs, of course, but also that it's over the support level of this volume being traded here on the earnings gap down day, and over this left side peak where there was some volume. This wick's down and sold off, but now we're above it. So those are all the technicals for Hood. You can see the earnings, happen in the after hours and then gap down the next day. And since then, it's been a bit, incredible given the initial earnings reaction. So it's been a bit confusing, really. And now that it's holding, it's looking like Hood is on its way back up. So as far as what these earnings were, well, they were still strong. I mean, it was up 45% year over year in revenue, about 900 million, net income up 100% to 200 million, a record net cumulative funded customers of 30 million, and gold subscribers at a record 3.5 million. So gold subscribers, that's like the Robinhood Gold card they're putting out, a new initiative. That subscription base is big because it's high margin, recurring, and it's growing even without the trading activity. So I believe gold has to do with assets under custody too, which Robinhood is also growing at an astounding rate, and is why it's competing with Schwab. As far as cumulative funded customers, I believe that just encompasses people trading on the platform. So 30 million is a huge number, though. These aren't the hundreds of millions of free daily active users like Meta and Google and Snap, which hasn't been doing well. All those internet companies have. These are customers that are actually depositing money onto a platform, which is a big deal, even if the transaction fee is minimal compared to the gross merchandise volume or the assets. But all those numbers are increasing, which is what we want to see if we care about fundamentals, which we do if we want to hold it for more than a month, right? And technically it looks good. So we have fundamentals, we have technicals, and then market headwinds. Despite the market turning down, the headwinds don't seem to be affecting Hood because it actually had relative strength today. So those are the reasons Hood is interesting. They also are rolling out tokenized stock in the EU, basically turning stocks into on-chain tokens for 24/5 access. You've probably heard of overnight trading, which Interactive Brokers has as well. So, not every company wants its stock tokenized. There was a bit of OpenAI drama with the CEO, Sam Altman, tweeting that they didn't ask Robinhood to tokenize their, equity. And in fact, you can't buy ChatGPT, OpenAI stock through Hood. So it's a little bit of a play on words there as far as what that tokenization means. But fact is, Hood keeps outpacing other companies in innovation that are old, like Schwab. And in this environment, there's no reason not to like them. So that's Hood. Netflix is a little more of a troubled story, given the earnings reaction was poor. They did actually hold up. And right now it's interesting, given it got over this initial support level here that turned into resistance that now is looking like support. So you can see all the volume traded over here. What does Netflix do? Of course, it's streaming, but their revenue was 11 billion, so it was up 16% year over year. The ads business was on track to double in 2025. They have interactive ad formats. So they did have that subscription model where you could pay for, less ads, but I don't have Netflix, but I believe was a new initiative. And they have high margin ad dollars also with the pricing optimization, where they're changing the options, like I said, to pick a plan that keeps the number of users high while also keeping the revenue collected high. So that's the consumer play, but we don't really need to pretend we're product managers at Netflix right now. The point is, they had a ton of viewing hours, and prices, did go up in terms of, to advertise, but with all that happening, you just look for where there's more advertising space, and Netflix is offering it. So even as Meta prices go up, advertisers still have to advertise, and where better to advertise than where people look every single night and watch shows. But with all that gobbledygook out of the way, all I really care about is how this thing is firming up. And like I said, the fundamentals are good, but the technicals look even better. And it is holding over this 50. Well, this is the 50-day here. It does have to hold, as you see when it lost here and then rejected it here. This is a pretty important level. So that sort of 1230 level is huge. In terms of volume traded, there was a lot of volume traded on that earnings day, unsurprisingly. So if it can get above, anyone who didn't sell here, if it can stay above here and people stop selling who bought here, then it'll go higher. That's pretty much the bag holder economics, I guess, bagonomics. But seriously, this thing looks like it is firming up here, which is a good sign for the broader market. And Spotify is the sympathy with Netflix, which had a huge day today. So that is the Netflix call. And then Intel is up a ton based on this crazy news with the US government basically conceivably, nationalizing part of Intel. It's crazy to even put all those words together, given that Intel is basically a stock that was a high flyer 10 years ago. But even if the US government does take a stake, it's not going to be a huge stake. So, this company still has to perform. And they reacted super strongly to that move. I mean, the stock has not been one you would want to buy over the past 5 years, but in a similar case to how Buffett just bought United Healthcare, and that thing rocketed up 10-15% in just about 2 days, almost 25% 2 days. This Intel move is looking very similar. So is it going to go more than 25-30%? Well, it depends on how these talks pan out. So this is sort of a listen to Trump kind of situation here. That's why holding it over the weekend is probably not a good idea. I certainly didn't buy it over the weekend. It did wick back and pull back a little bit today, and I think that's sort of healthy. But if there is news over the weekend, it gives a super strong risk level over all this buying right here on 25, 24, rather 8. $25 if you want to be whole round dollar number. That's going to be the dollar number for it. If it can hold that level above this volume traded here. So look, they did have earnings. The reaction was obviously poor until we got all this buying. Presumably this was in anticipation of this government taking a stake news. Basically, client computing is going up in terms of revenue. Data center and AI revenue is stabilizing. We don't really need to worry about whether they're going to be, at the forefront of client computing in the future. That's like having Intel chip in your computer. The fact that they're the chip for data centers and AI clusters is huge, because that's going to be where the real growth is in the next 5 years. And their Q3 guidance is strong. They have a new product out, but it's not really about this new product, the Lunar Lake. It's, in my opinion, what's much more important is if they're going to get more contracts based on their efficient chips, which they've been developing for 20 years or more. So I don't think the fact that the government took a stake in them is, make or break for this company. The companies that have been around a long time are likely to stay around for a long time. In terms of you taking a position in it, though, I think it is sort of make or break. So that's what I would take a look at as we head into Monday. Can this hold on Monday? Maybe into Tuesday. It could be a buy over 25. It really depends on what kind of news comes out over the weekend. So I think Hood is probably the most interesting, given the profile of holding this left side peak and it looking strong. And even though Hood was on an absolute tear since this tariff come down of 300%, it is what it is. I mean, we saw what NVIDIA did. NVIDIA went after the tariff come down 120%. And of course, in the past, NVIDIA has absolutely soared. This was after this consolidation in 2023. If Hood could consolidate like this for 6 months, could we have another big move up? We could. This being an analog to what Hood just did. Is it going to consolidate for 6 months? Maybe not. So until it actually does pull back and digest, we have to assume this thing's going higher. As far as a Netflix being a buy, it's definitely in the running, but this 50-day moving average is really important. It stays over that. And lastly, Intel, this hinges on the government actually taking that stake. So look, these are definitely high volume plays right now. And it's really important that we keep in mind what's going to actually play out. So I don't know what's going to play out, obviously, but this is the best information I can give to you in terms of price levels and what you want to actually do if the CHIPS Act allows the government to take a stake in Intel. So those are my ideas for you. If you like these ideas, hit the subscribe button. Helps show people who haven't listened to any of the ideas that they're good ideas. Otherwise, they won't know because the subscribe is so low right now because it's just getting started here. If you want to talk about your portfolio, click the link below. Go to selfadvisors.com. We'll talk for 15 minutes. You can ask me anything, and I'll make you an offer at the end of a way to give you help that isn't as delayed and maybe slightly impersonal as the YouTube video. And I did partner with a day trader. If that's something that is more aligned with your short, medium, long-term goals, this isn't just any day trader. This is a day trader who's made $9 million verified. And I'm actually going to log into his broker right now, so you can take a look at that. You guys are awesome. And here you go. Here's Adam. Thanks for checking out this free training. I'm here with the lead sensei of the Aikido trading method, Adam Geffert. I'm just going to log into his broker very quickly so you can see that his results are real. This is his Guardian broker. He does have more brokers than this, but you can see that he's made about $4 million net.
Yeah, Guardian's been a good broker for me. And in this quick video, I'm gonna show the viewer how to trade. Show them a little taste of the Aikido trading method, method that I've. So let's start with the times to trade. The best times I think to trade are on the pre-market and after hours. The stocks move differently than market hours because there's less traders at that time, and also you can do it in those hours, and it won't disrupt a day job or it won't disrupt things that you might want to do during the day. And let's take a look at some of the trades I actually did today here. I'll share my screen. So these are some of my brokers here. They're all brokers that where you can short microcap stocks below 50 million market cap, nano cap and microcap. And here's a trade I did today. This is KTTA. So I made about close to $30,000 on this broker with this one. And I started out in the pre-market after the news hit at around 7 a.m. I shorted it, then I covered.
And if someone's interested in learning more, how can they reach out?
They can go to akitotradingmethod.com and click on the free training, and there's some links on there where you can go and you enter your name and email address, and that actually goes to this video right here. But what we'll do is we'll email you and tell you the next steps to learn more about the Aikido trading method.